Alright, so we're live. Yeah, welcome to Darksiders. It's kind of a mixture of a couple of different games, like Zelda, hack and slay games, and other stuff. It's a pretty good casual game from what I know, even though I haven't played it myself. I know, that's kind of a shame. Yeah, we're gonna start the run on not easy, but apocalyptic. It's kind of a meme in the Darksiders community. And it doesn't really matter which difficulty we're playing, because we're gonna kill the enemies as quickly as possible anyway, so we're not really taking any damage. And it's kind of a meme in that sort that if you play on easy, your run is invalid. Anyway, we're gonna start in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, the start of this run is pretty hectic. The first half hour is, it's pretty technical, movement focused, but the main trick that really breaks the game we're only gonna acquire after like half an hour. Anyway, here's a fight. Normally you're supposed to kill these minions down here, but by throwing a pole, light pole, at the card thrower, we're just gonna make him drop down. Not sure if that's intended or not, but yeah, we can do that. And yeah, coming up is a technique here which is called sword dashing. We do that by holding the mouse button to attack and just backwards dashing. That allows us to skip the cooldown of the dashing, and we can just chain all these dashes after each other. I think here's another fight with angels that we're also gonna skip by placing a van here. And we can jump onto that van. And then onto this golem. And just skip this whole segment. Another van, how convenient. And we're just gonna throw this. It's a pretty precise throw. Throw it there. Take this car with us, and we're just gonna do something really interesting with this car. We'll see in a second. Oh wait, I like went into the cutscene with the car in my hands. Just gonna place it here on the wall. Don't ask why that's working. It's just Darksiders physics. And then we can jump onto the placed car from the van and jump up here. That skips like quite a big chunk of the starting part. So yeah. Coming up is another pretty big skip from what I know. It's called Fourth Fight Skip. There used to be another fight skip that was done, but it was like really tedious and hard. And so we do another skip now that is way easier, that was found. These enemies here can really troll you sometimes. It wasn't too bad though, they can throw you off. I'm just gonna jump here, jump in mid-air, and then land in a precise spot that allows me to get onto an invisible platform and jump down safely here. There's a death zone there. If you don't really jump right, you would either die or fall into the lava. And that means we're almost at the first boss of the game, Straga, which we are gonna see later again. But this time, Straga's gonna kill us. Spoilers. And the strat here is we're just gonna stand on a specific spot. He will throw cars. We can place these cars in the corner. So hopefully they won't get destroyed. It looks okay. He's gonna throw a second set, which we also need. And yeah, okay, that should work. Gonna pick this up, throw it at Straga. 2 cars, then we have to attack him. And this is basically the fight. Sometimes, like, this is an RNG part of the run. You have to reset here very often, because Straga can really troll you just by throwing the cars in such a way that you can't really like prevent them from getting destroyed. And this is the last set, which allows us to finish the fight. Alright, so if you think this was broken so far, just wait until we're about half an hour in. It's gonna just go, well, I don't want to say downhill from there on, but yeah. You'll see what the main tech of this game allows us to do. Okay. So coming up a few cutscenes. I can explain something, I guess. I've only started running this game in, well, end of December, the beginning of January. The world record holder of this game, Aftermath, put up a challenge. He kind of wanted to get more people to do this run. And since this is a pretty hard to pick up game, like it's really hard to learn. It's not terribly hard to master, I'd say, but just learning the run is like really hard, and a lot of people just stop with the main technique, which is called infinite jumping, which we will see later. And he was kind of just wanting more people to get active in the community, so he put up a challenge with money prizes that go up to like over 2,000 euros. And I would lie if I said that that didn't motivate me to pick this run up. But yeah, that's why or how I came to Darksiders, and it's a really fun speedrun. I'm really glad that I picked it up, despite the challenge thing. But yeah, another car. You might have an idea what we're doing here. Just placing it on the wall there. You need to have a kind of specific angle and positioning, otherwise it won't work and destroy the car. And that skips us a whole floor. You might also hear my keyboard pretty often. There's a reason I'm not using a mechanical keyboard like I used to do for other speed games. I'm rather using a really cheap rubber dome keyboard, because the main trick, infinite jumping, doesn't really work very well on mechanical keyboards. I've tried several, and for none it really worked too well. I think it has to do with the way the button needs to go down or something, I don't know. Anyway, this is a fight, gotta kill some zombies. You might also hear me clicking my mouse. That's because I'm using a technique called sword cancelling, which is the same as with the dashing, but just, with attacks. It's fairly precise, despite it sounding like mashing. In the beginning you will not be able to do, like if you pick up this run, you will not be able to do those attacks in a fast manner like this. You should just focus on getting the rhythm down, and then you will gradually over time just get faster with the attacks. And yeah, this also skipped the first mini boss there in this area, which is the hotel, by the way. And yeah, this dashing technique that I've used a couple of times, well, actually let me explain that after Crossroads, because Crossroads is a really hard thing or segment if we want to do it fast. Let's see how it goes. Gotta throw some cars and objects here. Oops. Gonna backdash here. There should be another car. Gonna throw it at this pole. Work. Oh, where is it? I think I might have gotten destroyed, but that's fine. There are a couple of spare ones around here you can use. Just these zombies are annoying, like they can really ruin your day. Okay, well. Should work, yeah. Okay, and this spawns a chest. If you destroy all the fire hydrants, that spawns a chest, and this chest gives us souls. In progress, we need to do this. This is kind of like mandatory, because we're gonna buy an item later, and this is the fastest way to just get the souls that we need. The souls are the main currency, by the way, in this game. Okay, so here's the gate. We can open that. We just got the horn. The horn is also pretty important, otherwise we wouldn't be able to infinite jump later, but we're gonna get a replacement for the horn, which makes infinite jumping way easier and more fluid later on. You'll see a couple of different dashing techniques. This is a fairly recently discovered one. It's sideways dashing, kinda. It's faster than just forward dashing, but it's slower than sword dashing. The reason why we can't do like the fastest version everywhere is because if enemies are around, it auto locks onto those enemies, and as you can see here, and it kind of prevents you from doing the fast dashes in the direction you want. Okay, so this is Phantom General. pretty finicky fight. Gotta hit him a couple of times before he spawns his minions. If we're lucky, we can hit all these together with... come on. The Blade Geyser, it's a kind of a ground pound. Okay, that should be good. Hit slow, but that's fine. Just gotta attack them and to like lure them over. And then he's gonna attack himself. Yeah. The General is actually like one of the harder to optimize boss fights. Only recently got decent with it. I'm gonna quickly tab out to close Discord because it's kinda having some refresh rate problems or causing some refresh rate problems for me. Okay, and yeah. Now there's a really hard puzzle here. This puzzle requires us to pull these two statues to the middle. And yeah, that's basically it. There are quite a few puzzles in this game in general, in the dungeons and everything, which we will not see because we're skipping all of that. There I used the sideways or the fast sideways dashing technique again because there are no enemies around, so we can just do that. The forwards dashes are the slowest. They are still faster than just walking or running over some spot. Cutscenes are luckily skippable, the full motion video cutscenes. And now we're gonna use the souls that we got earlier to buy an ability called Meteor Strike. Hope we have enough souls, I didn't pay attention to that. We need 200 souls to buy this ability. And it allows us to perform dashes in midair, which is crucial for infinite jumping. So let's see. Yeah, we have enough. Just gonna buy it. Do save. And load that save because that magically teleports us to a cutscene which is right in front of the next area. There's a couple of segments where we're just gonna do the save load thing because it's faster than just getting to the place manually. Okay, these are the jump replenishers or double jump replenishers, however you want to call them. There's something you can do here which is called low flight. If you, I believe it's frame perfect, or at least very precise. You can get like a really low flight there with these things. It's just hard and kind of risky, so I'm not doing that. Conveniently, here's an invisible platform which we can use to get over here. And here's another weird skip. I just hope it works. I'm mostly doing off-stream runs because I'm pretty sure this is FPS affected. And it doesn't really work when I'm streaming and recording at the same time. So yeah, that worked. It's also weird, just triggering a loading zone that puts us up here to this area. The Choking Grounds, which is a very fitting name. Backwards dashing. Gonna activate a golem door here, or gate. We need to do that to prevent a soft lock later. And I'm loading the autosave here. Well, actually that's what prevents the soft lock from what I know. Alright, now comes... Oh, how was it even called? I forgot the name of the skip, but it's pretty cool. You just line yourself up here and do a mid-air dash. And that allows you to get over here, which is obviously not how this is supposed to go. Just also picking up an Armageddon piece here. One of the 8, I think. The rest we're gonna pick up at the end of the run. Here's another really cool skip. We have to fly around an invisible wall there. And now we're really going out of bounds here. Hopefully this works first try. Yep. And we can just jump here and we're now out of bounds. Which allows us to skip huge chunks of this area. This is pretty precise, so I need to focus a little bit. If we fall down, then we have to like redo a whole minute or something, which I don't really want to happen. There's a loading trigger there that we're skipping. Work. And we're getting inbounds again, because now we need to be inbounds. Hey, thanks, Katarif. Alright. As I said, this beginning part is very movement focused and technical. You can lose a lot of time just by not moving optimally here. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna activate a Valgrim location, which serve as teleport points for later in the run. Otherwise we would need to just traverse huge areas over and over again to collect the Armageddon pieces. Obviously not very convenient. I really like the dashing ability in this game, or the sword dashing. It just looks so cool if everything goes right. Like a very fluid movement technique. How tiring is this run? Not too bad once you get used to it. Just gotta do some breaks from time to time. I can't really do like a lot of runs in succession. Right, here normally there would be a car thrower that we would need to fight. But we're skipping that by just jumping around the trigger. And we can jump over there like that. Interesting fact about this skip. This iteration of the skip was only discovered, I don't know, like a year or two ago, I think. Before there was another method, and that was like much harder to do. And a run, really a big run killer. And this is one of the one of the more precise tricks in the game. That jump, as easy as that looked, is like really finicky and hard. The inputs are really strange, and also it depends on the angle you have. So the weird thing about this game's camera is it has kind of two different cameras. One is War himself, and then if you move your mouse too far, then it kind of adjusts the camera some more. And it's kind of strange, but yeah, you get used to it. It's a bit like Metroid Prime or something with a dead zone on the controller. Anyway, this is an auto-scroller, 7 minutes long. I'm very thrilled to present you this part of the run. It's the most exciting segment. Oh, actually there's some things to do here and some things to talk about. First of all, normally you are supposed to either shoot single flames like this, or to lock onto enemies and shoot this blue, I don't know, multi-lock-on weapon thing. But if you hold down your middle mouse button and then press left click and let go of that, we'll get a stream of lasers, or fires, which we call the laser. And it's like really, really overpowered, and I don't think it's intended or supposed to be in the run like this. But yeah, interesting thing about this auto-scroller without the laser is that, from what I heard, it's not beatable, or, well, it's beatable, obviously, but it's not possible to defeat all enemies, especially in the later segment here, without this laser thing. There are so many enemies flying around. But if you have this laser, you can do it. Not that it would really give you anything good or something. But yeah, this is a 7-minute auto-scroller. It's not too exciting, but gotta have to sit through it. The enemies can't really do a lot of damage, even like if I wasn't using this laser. But yeah, no reason not to. On Apocalypse, I wouldn't suggest just leaving this auto-scroller on, leaving the enemies untouched. That doesn't really go well, but if you're playing on easy, there's kind of a chance that you will survive if you just leave your mouse, grab a cup of coffee or something, and yeah, you can basically just let everything here hit you and you won't even die. You don't really want to do that though in terms of speed, because in the next part here, the cave, we actually need to do something if we want to go fast. There are some flies and bats, and we want to kill all the red flies, little red flies, and all the big bats. Because there's a resource called Wrath. You see it in the top left, the yellow bar there. We have 2 bars that we need to fill up in order to do 2 Blade Geyser ground pounds later during the garden fight. And if we manage to kill all the flies and get our second bar there almost filled up, we'll be able to do that and save like, I don't know, 7 seconds or something. So, really want to destroy also these angels for whatever reason, give you some wrath. Over time you learn where the red flies spawn. They're not random, even though I think like their position inside the swarm can be random. Some more here. And there's a giant bat coming here, which instantly dies. When I started learning this run, I really had trouble just remembering where all the flies were. It would be even more tedious if we didn't have this laser to kill them. But yeah, actually this is a pretty chill part. You can just relax some before all hell breaks loose, thanks to infinite jumping. More red flies. What else is there to say about this auto-scroller? Not really much, actually. So I guess I can explain infinite jumping a little bit. Well, first, need to pay attention to kill this big giant bat here that spawns and directly dies. Normally it's supposed to destroy this bridge, but since we're killing it so fast, it can't do that. But yeah, infinite jumping is a technique that works by swapping the gear that you have, or the weapon rather, and doing that a couple of times while also jumping. And it's kind of hard. The inputs are, it's like 5 or 6 inputs that you have to do every third of a second, which is also why this run can be like really hard to learn and really tedious at first. In the beginning you won't be very fast with infinite jumping, but that's not what matters. What matters is that you're just consistent, because if you fall down anywhere later, we're gonna do thousands of infinite jumps during this run. If you fall down somewhere, you will lose like a lot of time. You will have to load an autosave or something, and that just costs so much time. And also it's unfortunately this game doesn't have a no loads plugin for live split, so it's kind of a compromise. The community goes by in-game time. The problem with in-game time is just that every time you load an autosave, it resets the in-game time a little bit. So the basic route that is taken has to be the same for all the runners. Which also means that you can't really submit a run to the leaderboard until you don't die during the run, because that would mess up the time and make up the end time inaccurate. It's a bit weird, but it's still a compromise to have people with worse hardware still be able to compete. But yeah, I think Afox, I'm not sure if it was Afox or someone else, but someone tried to create a no loads plugin, but I think there's one pointer missing or something. So if there is someone here who knows his cheat engine, then feel free to help us. And those were actually all the red flies. Looking at the Wrath, we are pretty good and pretty good standing. 3/4. It's enough, I think. And the auto-scroller is almost over. Luckily. And this brings us to Twilight Cathedral, which is the first dungeon of the game. And we're still gonna see quite a bit of this dungeon until we get the boomerang, which is the weapon which allows us to perform the infinite jump. The later dungeons and later parts of the game, we're just basically gonna skip everything, so just enjoy this dungeon while you can. Some sideways dashing. This is a puzzle. It's basically just picking up the sword and putting it into a statue here. And for whatever reason, this seems to be hard for first-time players. At least that's what I think Kuro, another speedrunner of this game, said. He watched several casual streamers have trouble with that puzzle for like half an hour or something. I don't know how that's possible, but yeah, I guess that's a hard thing to do. And there we see Tiamat fighting. Tiamat is the first boss of the game, or the first dungeon boss. Just gonna dash over here. Another cutscene. There are some bats around, so we can't do the fastest dashing technique, but it's good that we figured out this sideways dashing thing, because that's quite a bit faster than the forwards dashing, saves a couple of seconds. And here's the garden fight. First thing we want to do here is stagger the enemies a bit, and then use the Blade Geyser, which kills one and allows us to kill a second one immediately after. Some more sword canceling here. And I want to lure this one over here, so I'm like in this spot. Because there's a second wave of enemies spawning here. I want to stand like here. I can directly attack the next enemy here. Come on. Sometimes they block, it's kind of random. Okay, these bats are annoying. Sometimes they even fly up. Purify. It's faster to do this glory kill, I'll just call it technique, than killing them manually, so we do that. Also, this bat is kind of being a jerk. I think I can still hit him though. Suboptimal. Come on. Can you please just fall down here? I hope I didn't soft lock this. Let's lure him out here. You just staying there. This is kind of a pickle. I think. Okay, we got him. That was unfortunate, but well, that happens. Anyway, that's garden fight. It's normally going much smoother and faster. Here's the door to open, and we can just backwards dash now again and do something called fast bomb here. There are bombs here, which well, are very resemblant to Zelda again, obviously. This game takes a lot of stuff from Zelda, but it's a very good copy, I'd say, if you want to call it a copy. Okay, balcony jump. I need to focus a little bit because the setup is fairly precise. If I fell down there, that would have cost me like a minute, because we would have needed to go all the way around again. But yeah, that worked out fine. Fast bomb is pretty risky, because it can even throw you off the balcony there, and then you would need to go all the way around as well. So, lucky that worked. Sideways dashing around here. And this brings us to the beloved boomerang. And as I promised, this run is gonna get crazy now. You will like not see much inbounds anymore, until we get the horse at least. But yeah, this boomerang is the third item or weapon, and thanks to having 3 weapons we can alternate between them, and that's what basically allows us to do the infinite jumping. So normally there's a mid boss here or something, but fighting those mid bosses is slow, so we just infinite jump up there. Obviously we're not supposed to be here. You might also hear me like mashing or tapping my keyboard with a certain rhythm. That's infinite jumping inputs. It's 6 keys play. Oop. Oh god. There, I messed it up, and you can easily fall down there in a split second if you don't pay attention. Come on, there it is. And we're triggering this door here from the inside, which spawns the area around us. I'm also loading some triggers in the meanwhile. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to progress. And from now on, this run is mostly about knowing where to go in terms of the loading zones, triggering them, and well, getting to the next dungeon. And yeah, this is Tiamat, the first real boss, and thanks to sword cancelling, we can deal with her pretty well. It's still a pretty long fight, though. Yes, Darksiders 1 has a portal gun, but we don't need that for obvious reasons. So I'm gonna throw some bombs here at Tiamat. Hey, thanks, noob. And now it's sword cancel time. Just a couple of times because she's gonna take a stroll around now for like half a minute or something. This fight has multiple phases, so there's not really anything you can do to speed it up in between. And these bombs, unfortunately, we can't hit, so they explode. They look the same, but they behave differently than the bombs in the dungeon. So we just have to use the flames here to enlighten the bombs. Okay, so at the side here, Tiamat can't hit us, which is good. However, ideally you want her to be like right in front of a flame. She is there, but I'm not very used to... You can like hit the boomerang right through the... Or you can hit the bomb right through the flame. It saves a couple of seconds, but it's pretty hard. Now she's gonna take some dives here, which we can block. It's like 3 rounds that we have to do here with the sword cancelling. And she should be dead right now. Okay, now we well, we beat the first boss. We're getting a heart. We can't trigger the final boss of the game without all the hearts from the dungeons. So we are bound to go to the dungeons and fight the bosses. But yeah, otherwise this run would be really short. These are some snake pits or something they are called, I think, or mazes. I'm not sure. These are the teleport, like. I don't know, like parts in between of the areas if you teleport. And now begins the infinite jumping fun. Just gonna infinite jump over here, all while still getting quest triggers or item triggers or whatever. And now, as I said before, we need to get from loading zone to loading zone. First loading zone is over here at a tunnel. Also, something you shouldn't do is get into these loading zones while having the aim mode activated. Because then the game has a like 50-50 chance of crashing for whatever reason. So that's loading zone number 1. This is actually the first keyboard still that I bought here for this game, but it's a really cheap one, so all good. Now here's a Valgrim location that we're gonna activate while we're at it. And then we can swim. For strange reasons, there's water under the map here. It's kind of a common thing in a couple of games. There's water in the inbounds area, but the water extends quite far here, so we can use that to just swim here, which is faster than infinite jumping. Also, we need to activate another loading zone, which is here at this tunnel. Just by jumping up there, then we see the blue crystal spawn, and that means we hit it. As I said before, or as you're seeing, if you don't pay attention and just let go of the inputs for a split second, you can fall down into the abyss and lose a lot of time, or either or just ruin the run as well. So you kind of need to focus a little bit here. As you can see, the background turns black there, which means we activated another loading zone. I'm looking a lot at the minimap, by the way, so I know where I am. We need to drop down here. I just activated another loading zone. And there's... Ooh, I hope that worked. There's another loading zone here at the tunnel. And yeah, we spawned this area. Now comes pretty... like a trick that you need to set up, kinda, unless you wanna have like a 90% run killer here. I'm gonna aim fairly precise at the door there, and then backwards dash, which will get me to another loading zone. And this one is really hard to get if you try to do it manually or just by roaming around. And also by looking at the minimap and seeing my angle with the door, I know that I have the right angle to trigger this. As you can see here. And I landed inside this tunnel, which takes us to the next... well, actually, I didn't mention that. We're inside a dungeon, by the way. And this brings us to another item, which we need to defeat the next boss inside this dungeon. Next boss is the Griever, and the Griever has some sort of ice crystal thingies around here. You can actually see them here, and we need to destroy those to be able to damage him. We need to get this item. Not sure if you can actually spawn him without. I think you can, but you couldn't defeat him. Alright, so now we got the item, we need to get to the boss. We jump out of here. And this is fist jump, another precise setup. Standing in a specific spot, looking here at the HUD. I can look at the minimap now to see if I have the right angle. And if I'm touching the rightmost thing right now, then I'm fine, as you can see. And here at the rightmost door, there is another loading zone. I need to pay attention to not be too high here, and disable the aiming mode, otherwise we could crash the game. And this brings us to the Griever, this direction. Now we need to get inbounds, and luckily there's a hole here in this structure. We can fall down. Now we want to pay attention to not fall down too far there, otherwise we would spawn or trigger the fight without actually destroying the crystals first. If we did that, then we would lose about a minute or more, because we would need to destroy the crystals, and that's how you're supposed to do this fight actually. But since we destroyed them before, we can just finish this boss really quickly. There are some cards here, or at least one card, I mean, which we need to push into the Griever. And he's trying his best to stop us from doing that, but we're just too fast. He also has a crystal here. I don't want to go too close to him, otherwise he might push this card back immediately. Now I'm holding this card, and while this cutscene is active, I'm holding the right click button, which allows me to like pick up this card as soon as it as wall lets go. And oops, come on. Oh god. Okay, I messed up there. I would have been able to push it right into him again. Yeah, we're still fine. Lost a bit of time. And now we'll finish this fight with the Chaos Form here, which I didn't mention before. This Chaos Form, you kind of need to build up your Chaos meter for it. It's a very useful ability in the speedrun because it allows us to push cars, for example, for the first Draga fight. And also to deal a lot of damage in a short amount of time. That was the Griever. We got our second heart, and now we're getting the gun. So there's something here, if it's a good run, you jump into the lava. If it's a bad run, you jump into the water. For the sake of the marathon, I will jump into the lava, even though it's not a good run. But yeah, we got the pistol. And the pistol brings us another movement technique, the gun dashing. Which is like really cool, faster than infinite jumping, at least when we're inbounds and have like a straight surface to dash over. It's like the fastest dashing technique. So I need to rebind something here. I bought a possession potion there because that allows us to use the Chaos Form later for certain spots. And now we can infinite jump way faster. It's also way easier. And much more, I shouldn't say relaxing, but actually it is more relaxing. So we need to quickly get out of bounds because there's an item that we need. And also this brings us to another location, the Ashlands, very soon. Now we're out of bounds, but we need to go inbounds. What could we do? There's a chest. We can just open this chest. It's a pretty finicky trick. Doesn't really work very consistently. But yeah, it brings us inbounds and gives us this item. This item enhances our sword. Normally, if you play casually, you would level up your sword, or war in general. But we don't do that since we don't really fight many enemies. We only get one level upgrade later. So we are kinda low on damage in general, but thanks to the sword cancelling, it's not too bad. Also, with this item, it boosts the damage output by quite a bit. And yeah, we're approaching the Ashlands, which this is like one of the most technical parts of the run, I'd say. A lot of movement techniques change. Gonna activate a Vulgrim location here. Come on. And jump back out here. Not climbing with the vines, because that would be slower, obviously. And gun dashing is also something that you get better over time, like estimating when you can jump again. Because if you did it too early, then you would dash, which I accidentally already did a couple of times. If I did it too fast, then yeah, it wouldn't work at all. Looking at the minimap again, so I know where I am. Here's the tunnel. With some enemies here hanging from the ceiling, just gonna shoot one, and then infinite jump to the other side. Normally you're supposed to climb the vines and everything. Yet another Vulgrim. Now for the longest infinite... Well, actually I'm not sure if it's the longest infinite jump segment, but yeah, it's pretty long one, and normally you're supposed to use portals, as you can see here, to get across the desert. Normally if you just went onto the sand, you would die very soon because of the worm eating you. But since we can gun dash, we can just gun dash across and outrun him. It's a very convenient thing. Right. Shooting while I'm jumping with a jump replenisher there, which, come on, gives me some extra height for strange reasons. Oh, I also forgot, now that we have the pistol, this game actually fits into shots fired. Where we only had the horn. But yeah, we're firing some shots. during the next boss as well. So now there are a couple of loading zones here that we need to trigger in succession. Didn't hit it. There it is. Yeah, exactly. Second. And here's another desert that we can just infinite jump over. Not much to say here. Just gotta have the right angle roughly, so I will land in this cutscene spot. And this takes us to Horse Arena, really famous part of the run for everyone who has seen it. It's a very hard like fight arena with several phases. I need to focus really hard for this. Grab myself a coffee while I'm at it. So, do you guys see anything special here or out of the ordinary? Kinda looks normal to me. Just some enemies. No, actually, what's happening here? There's a, as I said before, there's a fight arena here, and there are several phases with these enemies. And since we did not spawn the area around us, but we triggered the Horse Arena start, the enemies will fall down and die. Luckily, War can't die, and also gets his position reset every time. And yeah, that way we can just clear these phases really quickly by falling down here. There's unfortunately a kind of RNG element here. These car throwers falling down too at the same time. Sometimes the second one won't drop down. It kind of gets stuck in mid-air. So now I'm infinite jumping up here and hoping that both will drop. So there's one. Come on. Because if the second one doesn't drop, then we will have to do the second last phase of the fight, which costs about 2 minutes. Yeah, that doesn't look good. These should be visible by now. Well, I guess that's marathon luck. Gonna jump a little bit up. Sometimes he still comes. I think he got stuck. Yeah. Okay, if this happens, we just have to do... Oh, wait. No, he's stuck though. They're still... Okay, for the loads, we're just gonna jump up a bit and see if he still falls down. Sometimes he does it. We have plenty of time anyway with this estimate, I'd say. Doesn't look like he's behaving today. Okay, alright, whatever. Just gonna do a save now, which will take us to the second last phase. Also, we fired some extra shots, so that's something, I guess. And yeah, there's a pretty annoying phase here that we have to do now with some horses, car throwers, and everything. So yeah, kind of unfortunate that happened in this run, but this is basically a reset now for me if this happens. Hair shot. Okay, that should bring us the car throwers. I hope the game won't softlock. No, it didn't. Sometimes the game... actually, the game can also softlock after this part, I think. So, shouldn't jinx it. Just beating these enemies with sword cancelling, because that builds up our wrath meter, which we will use then to defeat the car throwers. That's faster than just using the sword. We do a left, right, left combo, and I think they take some more damage. Good. The other one is pretty far away, unfortunately. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of really bad RNG there. Also, you don't want to watch the death animations or kill these by using the action prompt there. That's like insanely slow. Okay, so if everything goes well, the next phase, the phase that normally would have started if we got good RNG, should start now. Yeah, it does. And normally House Arena is like really quick if you get good RNG. So there's only a horse left here that we need to defeat with a rider on. First we need to get rid of the horse. And yeah, well, during this cutscene we can actually use our possession potion. It's not possible to do that during all the cutscenes, but during some you can interact with the environment or use potions or whatever. And this enemy is really overpowered if you fight him normally, so we're not doing that, but instead we're just using the chaos form again. Hopefully, okay, he should get some extra damage from the fire, and that defeats him immediately. Even if you play on easy, you can deal huge amounts of damage, which will kill you with like 4 or 5 hits. So I'm really glad that we don't have to fight him manually. And there we get our horse. Or, well, I don't want to say beloved horse, but it's actually like the fastest movement thing. I lied earlier when I said that gun dashing was faster, but the horse is the fastest. I'm loading the save here and or making a save and loading that because that is faster than infinite jumping, at least for in-game time reasons. And we're, by the way, inside a dungeon again, in case you didn't notice. Okay, coming up is Sunny Jam Skip. It's named after a viewer of, I think, Aftermath stream, who just wanted the skip named after him. And now there's a cutscene here. But hey, how convenient, during this cutscene we can infinite jump. So we can infinite jump up here already. Take us here. Ooh, okay. And use the horse to ride down here. Now there's the loading zone on top of this, which I need to trigger. It's fairly precise because the screen goes black, but it can load a different loading zone as well, so kind of want to pay attention how you trigger things here. And there are 2 holds that we can fall through to get inbounds again. That will take us to the 3rd real dungeon boss, which is the Stygian. Sometimes this part doesn't load when you didn't trigger the right loading zone. And first we need to free the boss, kinda? I don't really know what happens because I unfortunately haven't played the game casually. But we need to, he's enchained there and we need to defeat his minions or the enemies here first. And this will also level up our swords very soon. The only time during the run. Actually I didn't see, oh wait, we leveled up earlier because we got the extra phase during the horse arena, right? Now, this fight is basically an auto-scroller, if you do things right. I'm first gonna take the horse to a certain spot here. Stand here. Okay, the boss didn't... Okay, whatever. I jinxed it. Where is he going? Kinda wanna be adjacent to him. Oh, kinda messed up a little bit there. That's fine. We need to get the armor off his head. Gotta slash it like, I don't know, 13 times or something. If you do it right, if you move correctly and everything, then he will always take the same pattern. But yeah, I moved a bit weirdly there, so... Now... He's doing another phase. This phase is like really boring and slow. Normally you would have to fight these small worms that will soon appear. But what we can do here is we can just stand up here by infinite jumping and let the worms like target ourselves, and they will crash into our X and Y position. And if they do that, like if they are underneath us, they will die, which is faster than fighting them manually, or the usual way. Yeah, we can just stand up here for a certain amount of time. I know that I can get down again once the HUD appears. Or we can just pay attention to when the worm appears here again. Now. And now we're gonna fire some serious shots. This boss. Just gotta pay attention to not get into the wall or get hit by him. So that's number one. And now, believe it or not, the fastest thing to do here is get hit by the boss. If you play this casually, most people will try to fight the boss and do damage to him, but you can only do damage in certain, or with certain phases. So you kind of have to do here what the game wants you to do. Like you need to get thrown up 3 times, and then we can fire some shots again. Oops. And that will finish staging. Dramatic slowdown. Yeah, that's the Ashlands dungeon done. Only one real dungeon left, even though like the Draga dungeon, you can probably also call that a dungeon, so 2 dungeons left. But only 1 heart that we need to get. Oh yeah, now we get to Valgrim again. To the teleporter.
There's nothing left to do but give the Stygians heart back to Samael. Still, these hearts.
But we're also buying a possession potion here while we're here, which will be useful during a later fight. And now we can go to the Ashlands, where the last dungeon is located. And Ashlands is always, if you want to get there, you like save the game and load the game. For whatever reason, the game just puts you into, or puts you to the Ashlands there then. It doesn't work with every Valgrim teleport, just with some. It's kind of weird. Also, I wasn't able to use the horse there on the road, so I had to just gun dash there. So this game is mostly about, it's a combination of all the different movement techniques in such a way that we're going as fast as possible, obviously. Getting up here, skipping some triggers, and normally you also should use the portal gun. But that's not fast. And we can land right on our soft horse. I just noticed that I didn't play with sound for like half an hour or something. I'm so used to not having a lot of sound with this game because the sound kind of distracts you. At least in the first 30 minutes of the run. But that's fine. I think you had sound at least. This might go like 5 minutes underestimate, I'd say. Not sure, but there's still some things that can go wrong, so I don't want to jinx it. Gotta press E here, very hard inputs. And in this dungeon, we don't need the item from this dungeon, but the item is needed to spawn the boss, unfortunately, so we have to kinda comply. Play by the game's rules. We're getting to the mini-boss area. This item is actually like very annoying because it allows us to sometimes mistrigger this item during infinite jumps. And that's like really annoying because it's a very long chain animation. Chain is kinda the same as the hook shot in Zelda as well. Lots of things borrowed from that game or that series. And there would be a mini-boss. But we can infinite jump, so... Oops, come on. We're out of here. And now we just need to get to the boss. I'm looking at the minimap again, seeing there's the door. Just gonna grab the door and that will spawn the boss room and the area around it. If you're afraid of spiders, just close your eyes for like 2 minutes. This is Silitha. Silitha is kinda annoying because she is a bit random, but she has certain phases again that we're going through. Like, we're dodging her attacks, and then we have to hookshot towards her and attack her with a sword. You wanna be quick here, otherwise you won't get the damage in that you need to finish the fight in 4 phases, I think. With every phase, she teleports around more frantically. And it's a bit of RNG, we don't really know how to manipulate this. A bit annoying, but it costs like 10 seconds at most, I'd say. If you don't mess up the phase fully. I like the strats where you press 1, 2, 3 a lot. Oh god, I might be late for this, we'll see. I think I actually messed up there. Normally she's supposed to be dead now. It's dead, man. But as you can see, if you mess up a phase, that costs a lot of time. I was way too far away from her, and the timer ticks as soon as she appears in a certain spot again. And during this cutscene, we can again infinite jump up here. And just finish her off with a hookshot. Pretty cruel. Wall isn't joking around for sure. Conveniently placed spike indeed. And we're back on the horse. Just gotta get back to Valgrim now. And the horse is the fastest way. Like, infinite jumping through this area would be possible, obviously, but it would be slower, so we're not doing that. There's a couple of things that you can do here, like jumping off the horse, double jumping, and then jumping onto the horse again, which gives you back all the horse acceleration thingies you can see in the top right. And yeah, that's very convenient that you can do that. It doesn't work in every location though. Alright, so don't fall down there, that's pretty bad if that happened. Yeah, if you time it right, you can get back on the horse very fluidly, which is really nice. What I forgot to mention earlier is that I'm playing on the Wallmastered edition. There's also the original release from 2012. I think this came like 4 or 5 years later. Gameplay-wise, or for the speedrun matter, they are basically the same, except for the loading zones behaving a little bit differently in some spots. And also, the original version is supposed to be a couple of seconds faster because some quest markers or prompts appear a bit earlier, but it doesn't really matter too much. So, since this edition, the Wallmastered edition, is way more performant or has a way better performance, I'm playing on this, or most people are playing on this, except for I think Kuro. It's just the original version also has mouse acceleration, stuff like that, not many options, and yeah. can't even adjust the FOV, so this version is quite a step up. Oh, 2010, oh, this game's very old. Alright, now for the most, well, I don't want to say most annoying part of the run, but it's very annoying. Now we have to infinite jump up for a very long time. We're now inside a maze, and the game has a dungeon here stored, or it's already loaded. It's up there, and you can see it there briefly. So we need to infinite jump up there, so it's gonna take like a minute or two. This is also pretty stressing for your hands and arms. So I'm also iterating between forwards and sidewards because that's just more convenient for me. And for this dungeon we can go straight to the boss, which is Straga. Well, actually we need to trigger his boss room first. Already did a couple of runs today, so my arm is kinda tired. And there's the staircase, and here is the loading zone. We will trigger in a second. And there's another loading zone which will spawn the boss room. This is also one thing that the original version spawns instantly. For reasons I don't really understand, but well, the game just is programmed a bit, or the loading is programmed a bit differently, I guess. So here's Straga again. We fought him earlier. What we're doing here now is we're dropping below his chest, which skips an attack phase. Oh god, that's gonna be close. Ooh, should still be fine. Yeah, we're getting into this corner, running against this wall, because this emulates the kind of movement that you would have if you use the portal gun up here. And that triggers this eye here. Normally you're supposed to get up there with portals, but we can just infinite jump up there. Alright. So now we're gonna have to fight some enemies, two sets of enemies. First some regular minions, I don't know their name, but you wanna, like, you can lose a lot of time here. You wanna group them up, but sometimes RNG doesn't play well with you, so a bit annoying. What I can also do here is, like, he wants to attack now, but if I attack an enemy at the same time, then he won't get hit by Straga. Now we just need to do the same thing again, like jumping up here. We don't need to skip a phase of his attack because he's doing a different set of attacks now. Just need to hover here. Wait for two arm swings, or axe swings. Get into this corner again. This is very, like, precise movement. If you do this wrong, then the eye will not trigger and you won't be able to deal damage. And you will need to... you will fall down and have to do the whole phase again, basically. Infinite jumping is a glitch that we abuse to its fullest extent. So here comes the possession potion into effect that I used there to be able to transform into chaos mode again. Enemy's looking good. I should practice this fight though, because I think this is one of my weakest parts. I think you can manipulate them to a certain extent. Because as you can imagine, like, if there are some leftover enemies, that costs quite a bit of time. Especially if they do that. There's still one left. Oh god. This is, like, really slow. Oh my god, he's still not dead. Those are the angels, by the way. Have to fight them. And now we're almost done with Straga. Just gotta attack his eye once more. And drop onto his platform. That's actually fairly... Oh god. Oh. This is problematic. I'm not sure if I'm stuck inside of him. That's never happened before. No, I wasn't stuck. Okay, so yeah, as you can see, this costs me quite a lot of time now. Oh, there we go. Finally, Straga is done. Straga is, by the way, kind of a weird combination of Transformer and building. I don't know. Oh, forgot to attack him. Yeah, and now we are getting to Eden. Here in Eden begins the... Well, actually we'll get a mask here that we can use to actually collect the Armageddon piece parts. Get that up here. Also, well, normally I think you need to do something in that arena, but we can just infinite jump out there. And yeah, the mask, we're getting this cutscene. Or actually we got the mask earlier, but we're using it in this cutscene, which teleports us back to this fight arena. And we have to fight our, well, dark copy now. Also seems familiar. It's a very hard fight. Done. Right. That was Eden. We're gonna come back here later for the final boss. If you don't pay attention, you can go too far and actually fall down into the abyss there, which is very annoying. And yeah, here we're gonna pick up the second Armageddon shot. Oh god, I kind of messed that up. Whatever. Actually, that still worked. Okay. Okay, only 6 to go. And this is kind of the part of the game casually which can become kind of tedious, because you would need to search for clues or search for the pieces themselves, and it's kind of like the Triforce hunt in Zelda. Oh, since we already activated the Valgrim locations, we can just teleport to each area. And, well, the one thing is you see where, like, if there's an Armageddon piece inside of an area, you see it marked on the map there, so that's something, I guess. But yeah, we're just gonna teleport to the Ashlands. And get the third one. Which, like, all the pieces are pretty close to the teleport locations, luckily. So yeah, it's not too bad, and it's actually a pretty chill part of the run. It's like not too hard. There's only really one piece that can screw you over. So this infinite jumping, by the way, would not... Oh god, don't drop there. Would not really be possible consistently on controller. I know that at least 1 or 2 people have tried this run on controller, but it's just stupid. You shouldn't do it. Like, pressing 5 or 6 keys at the same time every quarter of a second on a controller is just, yeah, it's not good. So we're playing this with a keyboard, even though I think casually this might be better with a controller. Okay, that's the third one. If you do it right, you can also land inside the teleports without having to go back. It's fairly precise. And here I'm jumping up here to safely get around a fight trigger. which for whatever reason I still activated. It's no big deal though, we can just jump out of this fight arena, but it's slow. And it also triggers an autosave that I would have liked to avoid, but it's still fine. Only I could load an autosave now to be next to Valgrim again. So we have 3 more pieces to go. Interesting thing about infinite jumping and sword cancelling, there's almost no limit to how fast you can go. It's just like how fast you can do the inputs in like with the correct timing. So it's something you will get better over time with it. Just don't worry about it too much at the start. And here's kill or save the animals. Kill the animals 1. Now we're going to Crossroads. And here's something cool you can do. I think I messed it up. You can trigger this teleporter from below. Okay, no, still got it. Nice. It's a bit faster than just getting onto the platform. Crossroads is one of the fastest Armageddon charts. And the last one here we can save load again, which takes us to Valgrim outside of the maze. And this one you can mess up very easily, so hopefully it will go right. Problem is that there are a lot of death zones. Also, we don't want to trigger an autosave. So I'm jumping up here. Using this jump replenisher to safely make it onto the platform here. And for whatever reason, we can load the autosave here right after we picked it up. With the other ones, you have to wait for the prompt. It's a bit strange. And that allows us to finally craft the Armageddon sword, which we need to actually beat the final boss of the game. Otherwise, this would be much easier. Gotta get over to the craftsperson. If you're lucky, you can also open this door sideways. I never get lucky though. It doesn't matter which order you collect them in, it's just like whatever feels fastest from the menuing, even though the menuing isn't accounted even in the in-game time, so... Wait, did I get the prompt already? Why was the prompt instant there? That is weird. This game is sometimes a bit strange with the prompt. I think I got it. I hope I did. Sure. Or did I just miss one? Nope. I think we should... Fine. I was a bit confused there. Normally the prompt takes about 10 seconds to appear. Or actually might have and I just didn't pay attention. But yeah, now we can finally go to the final boss. Just the Destroyer. I think he has a real name as well. I forgot. It's not really shown always. Don't know why. like the boss name is different in the OG version and this version, and also sometimes here it's different. Cool trick here. The only occasion where you're gonna use it, it's horse elevators, basically. Works by dashing into a wall, then jumping off the horse and jumping onto it again. And yeah, this is Abaddon. Now it shows Abaddon. Earlier today it showed the Destroyer. Anyway. Almost done with the game. Only this fight, which is a really hard fight. Lying again. So, this is also basically an auto-scroller, at least the first part of the boss. Normally, if you play this casually, you're probably very tempted to attack him while he's lying on the floor there. You shouldn't do that, also I should. Okay, it should be fine. It doesn't speed up if you attack him while he's laying down, so we just wait for him to get up again. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna count. He's gonna drop down with a dive bomb 2 times for the first phase, or first part, we already had that. Now he's gonna drop down once, and we can attack him. He's gonna fall down, then attack him again. He's on the floor. It's once more, and then it's 3 times. You kinda need to remember this combination. It's always the same, but if you start out and you don't remember it well, then you will lose quite a bit of time here. Because you need to attack him from the horse then. Or if you miss this, but you have a lot of time. So, Destroyer is flying up a couple of times now, 3 times in particular. Just gonna dash with the horse while he's doing that. And we can finish him off. I'm jumping off the horse because we need to trigger an action prompt. And we don't want to go too close towards the boss, because then you won't get the action prompt and he will take another leap. So that's what you want to avoid. And now also another quick time event here, very hard. Press E. And that should be it, right? Okay, I hope the game doesn't crash. We still have a second phase to go, but before that, the real boss here is the game preventing the game to crash. Like, when War jumps down, the game can't crash. It didn't. Woo. In like all the showcase runs I've had of this so far, it crashed there, I think. Oh, what am I doing? Okay, for this part, we just need to sword cancel some more. Dodge his attacks, sword cancel. And then you have to do this. Like, you just need to mash attack here, which, if you're too slow, you can mess this up and it costs some time, but yeah. Shouldn't happen if you're going decently fast. And now the Destroyer is gonna throw some rocks at us. Very effective attack. At least if you're standing right in between of the pillars. Now we can dodge his attacks here by taking a step to the side. And that's the second part of this phase gone, or done. And time is once the final hit of the sword in the cutscene happens, or when the last cutscene happens, doesn't really matter too much. So last phase here, or last part. You need to pay attention to not attack too early here. You need to wait until he pulls his sword. Because if we attack too early, he will just frantically teleport around. And that's something you don't want. As soon as he grabs the sword, we can just safely attack. And time will be in a couple of seconds. 1, 2, 3. And that's time. 123.25 RTA, 116 in game time. Not too shabby. GG. So that's Darksiders. Thanks for letting me run this. I think it's a pretty cool run, despite sometimes not really being obvious what is happening. But it's a very technical, movement-focused run that I'm really enjoying to do at the moment. And yeah, if you want to learn this run, there's an extensive tutorial, video tutorial, written tutorial. We have a Discord where we will gladly answer your questions. And like, if you want to pick this up, it's like not easy to pick up, but if you just keep at it, you will be able to learn this run with some endurance. And then it's just really fun once you get all the movements down. So yeah, that's Darksiders. Thanks for having me, and see you later for Bioshock Infinite.